The animal I chose for this experiment is the rabbit, and I will be altering it by giving it claws. The original trait comes from the mole, who has large claws made for the efficient digging of holes. This will benefit the rabbit in many ways. One way is that the rabbit has little digging ability, so they usually have to find holes already made for them to live in. This restricts the rabbit's ability to rapidly relocate to a new area, because it must first find a new home, and digging the hole itself is a very long process for the rabbit, as it has very little front paws and very tiny claws. When the rabbit is given claws from the mole, it will now be able to dig its own home, and thus will be able to rapidly relocate to a new area in case of an emergency, such as lack of food or abundance of predators. This will be done using a process known as genetic splicing. Genetic engineering, also called gene splicing, is the direct manipulation of an organism's genome using biotechnology. New DNA may be inserted in the host genome by isolating and copying the genetic material of interest using molecular cloning methods to generate a DNA sequence. Chemicals, called restriction enzymes, act as the scissors to cut the DNA. Thousands of varieties of restriction enzymes exist, each recognizing only a single nucleotide sequence. Once it finds that sequence in a strand of DNA, it attacks it and splits the base pairs apart, leaving a single helix strand at the end of the two double helixes. Scientists are then free to add any genetic sequence they wish into the broken chain, and afterwards, the chain is repaired as a longer chain with an added DNA, with another enzyme called ligase. The gene responsible for the growth of claws in the mole will be extracted and put into the unborn rabbit fetus. This will result in the born rabbit to have claws just like the mole. And here we have the common rabbit, and as you can see, it has very little claws and very small and insignificant front paws that it mainly uses for walking and jumping around. But since they are so small and weak, it cannot really dig with them, thus giving it a real big disadvantage. Here is the mole, and as you can see, it has big, wide paws and very large claws, specifically made for digging. If these claws and paws are given to the rabbit will have a severe advantage because of its ability to relocate quickly away from predators or to better sources of food. Here is a little example of genetic splicing. The DNA strand will unravel and will be cut using the restriction enzymes. The cut piece, this piece over here, is the piece responsible for the claws in the mole. It will then be inserted into the rabbit's DNA sequence. It will then be all raveled up, and then the rabbit, when it is born, it will now have claws just like the mole. Thank you for watching.